welcome to the castle. I have a question. What is the oldest item you own? Hi, don't be scared. I just wanted to be very direct with my question. But today we're going to watch a different video, which is about old things and why young people love old things. I don't know if this is applicable to only young people because, man, I'm old as heck. I love old things. So we're going to learn hopefully something new today. It's made by the channel Genuine Curiosity, and I hope you will enjoy that. All right, ready? Here's the video.
I like old things.
Same.
I have 7 film cameras, an NES, a rotary phone, a bunch of records.
Hello, I'm Johnny K.
My parents' old cassettes, a book of mechanical movements, devices, and appliances from 1907,
Okay.
and a phonograph.
My God. That is a bunch of things. Okay, I have to admit, I got rid of a bunch of things because moving with so much stuff, difficult times. I promise.
I don't know exactly how many other people in their early 20s like all this old analog stuff too, but it's definitely not zero.
Okay.
I've been seeing a bunch of ads recently for digital cameras that are supposed to look like film, and I've seen people online that are switching from smartphones back to flip phones because
I also saw that, and they're decorating it like it's the most precious thing ever. It's so
social
cool.
media just sucks. And then if you're talking about clothes, I mean, thrifting is a huge industry.
Very popular
seen
now.
So many people in my own generation whose whole personality is based on clothes and culture from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, even the 2000s.
Yeah.
Now,
the problem with thrifting though is the clothes you sometimes can buy are so low quality, and not because of the thrift stores but because of the origins which are like high fast fashion. Not even fast fashion, like Shein is producing 3,000 pieces per hour or something. In terms of design and like putting it on the website, it's way too fast. I love thrifting. I do that regularly. I also have thrifted clothing, but I also am a little bit picky of what I'm thrifting because I want it to give a proper use, and so I do check the quality more, and I'm also willing to pay more if the quality fits my liking.
there's no one right answer for why people like the things that they do. I have my own reasons for liking old things. Other people might have their own reasons for liking old things.
Yeah.
And this is a topic that can be talked about forever.
Yeah.
But if you ask me why I like old things and why I think all these other younger people do too, I think the first thing I would mention is 5. The 5 senses. You got sight, hearing, smell, touch, and maybe just the first 4. Yeah.
Don't eat your cameras, dude.
Yeah. All this old stuff, at least when it comes to objects, they're tactile. You can interact with them on a physical way. You know, all the clicks and dials and buttons and doohickeys, thingamabobs,
Some of the things, maybe instead of tasting them, but many things that you own or even get from, like, let's say your grandparents, your parents, your other family members, friends, whatever it is, some items also have a story that you attach to them. And so it gets more value just for you personally because it has a specific story. Best example, from my human grandmother, I finally found her fairy tale book. I can't read it because it's in Russian, but I love this item. It's a super old book, also one of my oldest. It is broken down a lot because she was reading a lot out of it. But it has so much value to me, and it's super old, but the main value also is because it's a big memory part for me. But a lot of people have that too. They have like, let's say, a camera, and they took this camera to every vacation they did, or like even their grandparents take the camera to every vacation they did. and it still does its job. Things like that, like stories like that, memories, adventures, everything counts and is attached to the item, um, which also adds up to the whole thing, or like to the whole aesthetic. Let's say that.
Call it's whatever. And when you consider that I mostly grew up with this,
Mm-hmm.
it starts to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can feel like the whole world is stuck behind glass when I'm constantly on my phone. But when I use something that's older and analog,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of brings me back into the real world.
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
I think human beings are kind of just
It was. I have another story about it. I'm so sorry. Yapagon is on. Like when I did my driver's license back then in Germany, um, my training car was very modern and you could barely hear it. And then I really disliked it. I never knew what's wrong, what's happening with the car because I couldn't hear anything. And then when I got my own one, which was pretty old, but it sounds, you can hear the engine depending on how fast you're driving. It had like normal buttons when you wanted to do something on the panel, so I didn't have to look what I'm doing. I just knew it is somewhere there. I could feel it with my fingers, being still focused on the road. I prefer it that way. I don't drive anymore, because that's not necessary here in Austria. But I do miss my car specifically because I liked the way it was built and the way I was able to know what is going on with it without looking, basically, or like handling it without looking while I'm driving.
built for tactile feedback.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the basics of how we all interact with the world
Mm-hmm.
with our senses.
Yeah, correct.
Now, I've had older people tell me, "Oh, why would you want to go back and use all that old junk I was forced to use when I was growing up?
Mm-hmm.
Things are so much better now. You can access anything at any time,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. Why would you ever want to revert back?"
Ooh, I see the benefit of like you have unlimited resources, you can learn, you can entertain yourself, but it also comes with a very big price, which is being constantly online. And I think a lot of humans can relate to that. I myself can relate to that. I'm not online when I'm sleeping, basically, or focused on my work in the bookstore, like when I'm outside handling people, doing my job. But any time during the day that I'm not sleeping or working in the store, I'm on the internet or I work something for the internet. And it's it can be pretty tough to get out of a rut, especially nowadays with all the strong algorithms then that push you into specific niches and bubbles, some even like making you feel bad about yourself. Absolute downfall. So I see why people want to escape that and just stay away from it, because having it a little bit can work out for some people, but some I know myself, for example, that's why I changed my diet back. um i if I want to change something, it has to be more radical. So I do understand a lot of people who don't want this technology anymore, or not for 24/7 availability. I really really see that point. I also see the older people that are like, yeah, why do you don't want this amazing new thing, or it's like so convenient, it's so simple, so easy, but probably they haven't found the dark side yet. Maybe they didn't found that yet, and that's fine, and I hope they never will, to keep the spark for them about whatever modern thing they have right now. But many modern things do have a bad side to them.
Well,
It's also like, look at the aesthetic. I love the TV, I love the phone, I love the little thing over there. I'm pointing with my finger even on it because I like it so much. The whole aesthetic of this shot is so good. Oh man. Sparks some memories, some good ones.
This is my grandpa.
Now, all this unlimited information, I mean, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
But a lot of times, it feels like a monsoon. It's so
It's
much.
overwhelming, yeah.
Since you can know everything all at once, it just can be a bit much.
And it's also a problem for people who already have problems with focusing on something. And then there are, for example, on YouTube, by the way, there's a great expansion for your browsers where you can just turn off the recommendation things on YouTube, so you can just watch a video and then get off of it. But like a lot of people who struggle with focusing on one specific thing, or let's say practicing one specific thing, it is very difficult for them to stay on track and not be distracted and then watch random videos for 5 hours and then feel bad about themselves because they didn't practice what they wanted to practice. So it is a curse and a blessing, and it should be addressed properly. And humans should be more sensitive about the problems as well to be able to handle them a little bit better.
Sometimes I feel like Ben Stiller in Night of the Museum, when Attila the Hun is trying to rip him limb from limb. It's just complete decision paralysis when it comes to the endless void of the internet. But using things pre-internet, it takes me away from that.
Yeah.
It gives my mind a break.
I really feel that feeling.
Listening to music on vinyl, taking film photos, using a typewriter. It just calms my mind, and it takes it away from that ever-widening dark pit that the internet can sometimes be.
Yeah. Understandable.
Which leads me into my next thing.
Okay. Let's see. Simplicity.
My dad used to tell me stories about when he was my age. He would buy all these cool old muscle cars for cheap, you know. He had a Camaro.
The muscle car addiction base though.
Camaro and a Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am.
It looks pretty cool.
And he would swap the engine and fix up these cars right in my grandmother's driveway. And as a little kid, my mind was always blown that he could take an engine out of a car and put a new one in all just in a weekend. But then one day, he and I were walking through a field full of classic cars in a car show. You know, the kinds that he worked on when he was my age.
Yeah.
And I stopped and turned to a 1970s Corvette. And the hood was open, so I looked down at the engine and went, huh, it's actually pretty empty. I could actually see the ground through the engine.
Yeah,
of the car.
true.
Now, I'm not saying what my dad did all those years ago wasn't impressive, but those older cars just appear to be so much simpler to work on compared to any car I've ever owned today.
I mean, a lot of cars today also have like board computers, different cameras, specific lights where you just can't switch the lamp, basically. Like my old car, when one of the lights was broken or didn't work anymore, my human dad just bought a little new lamp, put it in, and that was it. But for example, my friend who has a fairly new car with, I think it's called xenon lights. Man, me and car technology is still a mystery. But when the lamp was broken, they have to replace the entire thing. And it's freaking pricey. They have to replace the entire thing, the entire light. It baffles me. Like you can't do that by yourself anymore.
If you buy a new car now, it's almost impossible to work on. But any of those older cars, I mean, you could read through the owner's manual and fully understand your vehicle.
That is
like,
great.
I actually found
that is a great
old
skill.
1970s Corvette manual online, and it literally had a section titled Engine and Engine Rebuilding. Where it showed you...
I didn't know that. Oh. Can I have a question? Is rebuilding or like working on a car technically a little bit like puzzling? Like a stupid what is the word? I Vergleich. Man, my Germans help me. Is it like a similarity in terms of how it draws you in, basically?
You step by step how to take the engine apart, how to
could
put
be
it back
a big
together
puzzle.
again, and along the way told you
Please don't hate
exactly
me.
what everything did. In comparison, the owner's manual for my car from 2016,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just all legal jargon.
Mm-hmm.
And it says if you have a problem, just
Yeah.
take it to the dealership.
Dealership.
Take it
Yeah.
to the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
And in the
You don't
same
have
way
a
as classic
choice there
cars,
anymore.
any of these old cameras that I have behind me, you know, like this,
Mm-hmm.
or like this typewriter that I have here,
Mm-hmm.
I know how they work inside and out, and
Mm-hmm.
I can fix them if anything breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a nice feeling knowing that. It
Yeah.
feels like they're fully mine.
It gives you really I wanted to say it gives you a really really big of feeling of ownership, that it's really yours, that you understand it, you know how to use it, how it's functioning. It gives you like a very secure feeling of ownership in this point, because if something happens with your modern car, yeah, well, let's go to the people and pay a lot of money to fix it through mechanics.
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
I found it at Spencer Gifts.
Streaming services: Netflix, Spotify, Disney Plus, Peacock, all of them
What
that
is
are
Peacock
way too
even?
expensive and really annoying. In a lot of ways, they're great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who doesn't want everything on demand?
Yeah.
But in recent years,
And also for saving space, for example, apartments get very, very expensive. So saving space by having, I don't recommend having all of them like active. That's very pricey. But like switching up your memberships maybe once in a while to just have like say Netflix for 3 months, then Disney for 3 months. That would be like saving you a bit of money and also a lot of space for the apartments that also get very pricey.
they've been adding more ads and raising the prices and then
Yeah,
adding more ads on
that's
top
add
of
on,
that.
yeah.
And it's all just kind of culminating into what cable TV used to be, but in a way more expensive way. And the best part is, at any time, your favorite comfort movie, gone.
Yeah, you can't
That
watch it
song
anymore
your
then.
parents used to sing to you when you were a little kid, removed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have control over whatever is on one of these platforms. So for me, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of other people,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to know that if I buy a vinyl record or an old VHS or
Mm-hmm.
DVD of a movie, no one's coming to take that away.
No,
And going
the only thing that can happen is break it. But if you take care of your stuff a lot, then you can have it for a couple years.
back to physical objects,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to know that a movie or any music you own physically exists in the world,
Yeah.
apart from it being just some artistic concept that's somewhere out on the internet. It's actually in your possession. You can hold it.
Yeah.
Because the internet is great, but you don't really know when things are going to change.
Yeah. Living history. That's also like
Nostalgia,
the stories
I
that
think,
come
is
with
the
items.
biggest reason for all this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, who doesn't want to relive a happy memory you had from when you were a kid?
Yeah.
There's pretty much an entire industry.
That's why I have a little memory box. I collect a few small things and put them in there. For example, I have a audio cassette from Robin Hood. I know it's a bright red cassette, and I really, really liked it back in the days. So I kind of want. I don't have anything to play it anymore, but I have it as an object just for the memory, and I put it in my box to keep it safe. And I have a bunch of other things in there. Also pictures. I also have printed pictures. Uh, like I'm taking photos like 50 photos a day or whatever I need to do. So it gets out of hand very, very quickly. But some pictures I would just like from friends, from places I visited, like 1 or 2 pictures just for the memory. I just put it in my box. I can really recommend doing something like that. It's really great to just have something physical. I'm not too much. I'm against stuffing your apartment with too many things. I still have to declutter a lot, but having a box just full of memories, and when you're like feeling nostalgic, that you open it and then you see everything that happened and just have a little time for yourself, it's absolutely great.
History of nostalgia, especially recently with all these never-ending movie remakes and reboots being made.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge reason why the phrase "what's old is new" exists. And my generation is just getting to the age where we're starting to reminisce about our childhood. But it doesn't fully explain why we seem to like things older than our own memories. And my answer to that is I think there's just something about using a thing that was part of everyday history from 50 or 100 years ago that allows you to live the same experience that the original owner of that thing would experience in a time that is now part of history. But at one time, you know, it was just life. And that's a cool feeling.
I see the feeling, but I have to say, yes, it's cool to have like the feeling of what it was like back then, but it should not take away um your motivation to live your own life, basically. Not mimicking something that was back then, just make it your own. Make it your own and go nuts, okay? Go ham. I think that is even more important. It is cool to have a nostalgia feeling or a complete new feeling because of it. Like, say you use something like that is 10, 100 years old, for example, right? Um, but don't make it too much of a thing that it takes away from your personal experiences or that it's limiting you. Use it as an embracement to combine modernness and history into one thing and make it your own. I think that's what I would like to add on to. Okay. That was a very lovely video. Man, I love old things. Can we please talk about the old things that we love and adore in the comment section? That would be so great. That would be so great. I can't wait to hear what kind of things you adore and like want to keep forever or even pass it down to generations. I for sure will have a few things which we can talk about. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I see you later and have a good day. Bye bye.